Awesome. Thank you all for coming out this morning. My name is Jordan Carlisle. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at the Little Rock Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to 1 Million Cups. How many folks have never been to 1 Million Cups before? I see a few new faces in the crowd. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all for coming out. Also, thank you to all you veterans who are out there. We love seeing y'all come back every single week. For those of you who haven't been before, this is an educational program. We have it every single week from 9 to 10. And the whole point of this is to learn about entrepreneurs' stories and what they're working on, why they're passionate about it, what are the problems that they're solving, what value do they create for others, how do they capture that, and what are some of the struggles they might be facing, but also what are some of the successes that they're having that we can help champion within our community. This whole program is actually based on a thesis that a guy who was working for the Kauffman Foundation came up with. And he had noticed in communities that were really thriving in their tech ecosystems and entrepreneurship ecosystems that they championed this spirit of sharing drinks with each other, whether it be cups of coffee or having beer after work. Those were when the ideas came to life, because you're able to sit down with somebody, empathize with what they're going through, feel their passion for their idea, and give them quality feedback and really get in the boat with them versus just kind of hearing what their business might be and hearing the pitch. So what we're doing here is emulating that experience. And we believe that if we can share 1 million more cups of coffee with each other in our community, we can fundamentally change the way our entrepreneurial ecosystem works, because all of you folks will walk out of here with more connections and a better understanding of the entrepreneur who's presenting today. And that will lead to successful entrepreneurs in the future. To make this all happen, though, we have to give lots of thanks to our sponsors. So Little Rock Chamber for allowing me to dedicate time and resources to making this thing happen. The Venture Center and the Tech Park for providing the space, and the Venture Center employees, particularly Steve and Jessica and Lee, for helping us set up every single week, get these awesome screens going, and all the audio systems. We have them to thank for. And the Tech Park, like I mentioned, this is a great space if you guys are interested. You can co-work after everything's over. You can co-work in these spaces for the day, every single Wednesday after 1 Million Cups, as long as it's available. You can't kick anybody out if they're already there. Also like to thank, let's see, we have CDOTS Media, Nicholas Norfolk over there. Is one of our organizers, and if you notice, if you glance at him throughout this presentation and throughout the session, he will not be looking at you. He will be looking at his phone, and he will be tweeting awesome things from the 1 Million Cups account. So that brings up a great point. If you guys hear something inspiring, make sure that you share it with your social media networks. Go on Facebook. You can check our presenter out. Also on Twitter, where we're most active. You can tweet at 1 Million Cups LR, also at Lonley for our presenter today, or Andrew Motter, who is the entrepreneur behind the idea. And make sure that you capture that stuff, because when we can share that stuff digitally, it scales really well and it exposes what we're doing here in this community, not only here in Little Rock, but also to the 1 Million Cups nation, because there are over 70 1 Million Cups locations across the I guess globe now, because they're going international. And so that conversation gets spread, and our entrepreneurs are exposed to a broader market. And so we're really thankful for that. And we have the Kauffman Foundation to thank for that. So if you don't know about Kauffman, they're a wonderful organization based out of Kansas City, and they're doing loads of entrepreneurial programming. And really they're giving most of it away for just the people who want to make things happen. And they're not asking for a whole lot in return. And that's mostly because they believe in the power of entrepreneurship. So quick shout out to our other organizers that I haven't mentioned. Mike Steely in the back, who is doing a good job of tweeting right now. Mike has been with me since day one, who helped us get this charter so we could bring this to Little Rock, and we're thankful for him. Also, Susie Cowan, she's our newest organizer, and she's the brains behind Legends of Arkansas Festival, which is an amazing arts and all Arkansas made festival that is happening in September 18th, 19th. Almost had it, which is an amazing thing that champions the same spirit of developing entrepreneurs in our area. So thank you organizers for making it out. All right, so now for what you guys have been waiting for, we are going to welcome on stage Andrew Motter with Lawnly, and he's going to tell us about what he's working on. Andrew? I forgot you had the fancy thing.
Am I good? Okay. All right. So Jordan promised you some sound bites for social media. I can't promise you that. I'm not nearly as good at presenting as Jordan is. But I am going to tell you a story about myself, about my company, how I came to be where I am today. So we'll get started. So there's a really happy, smiling chap on the screen there. And what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about is how I got to the point where I can now call myself an entrepreneur. And it's taken me probably 16 months to get to this point. I left my job, much to the chagrin of my wife, without notice about 16 months ago to jump full feed into entrepreneurship. And I started a company called Cloth Moth that was supposed to help you understand how clothes fit when you shop online. It was an utter failure. I was underprepared, naive, way too full and sure of myself. And it wound up being an extremely powerful learning experience for me. And what it's really taught me, and the one piece of advice that I'd probably give to any entrepreneur who's starting out, is learning how to get out of your own way. Really being able to step back, remove your biases, and remove what you think is important, and use data techniques and use listening to really uncover what problems are worth solving. What a lot of people will say today is anything can be built. You know, technically we can build just about anything, but should it be built is the question that we should be answering as entrepreneurs. And I think that I've finally hit upon something that should be built. And I'll talk a little bit today on why I think that. So we're going to move on to the problem. I want everyone in this room to raise your hand if you do your own lawn care. Okay, that holds up to about the national average. Keep your hands up. Now, I want you to keep your hands up if you've always had the time, the capacity, the ability to get it done when it needs to be done. It's a really common response in the audience. And I think you know where we're going with this. So the problem that Lawnly solves, or is attempting to solve, I should say, is people don't have time to mow. It's a painful process trying to find somebody to manage that on-demand lawn care. And no easy way exists currently for a homeowner to find that until now. So what is the solution? As I said, I'm not the greatest speaker, so I'm going to allow another important figure in American society to tell you what it is that Lawnly does and what our solution is. His name is Morpheus. Morpheus says, what if I told you I can make your phone mow the lawn? It's a pretty powerful statement, and it's a little bit of a hyperbole. We're not making a transformer out of your iPhone. It doesn't go out into drone mode and mow the lawn for you. But what it does allow you to do is, from the comfort of your home, from the comfort of your office, to visit lawnly.com, to input some details about your lawn, schedule a job, get it posted, find somebody to do it, pay online, get photos of the finished job, and never have to leave your desk. And that's the solution that Lawnly brings to the table. I went into the how a little bit already. So it's a really quick process. You go to lawnly.com, you sign up. We have a satellite mapping tool you map your property with, so you have transparency on where the pricing model is coming from. You create a job, you submit it, and then you grab a beer or coffee, whatever your cup of tea is, so to speak. So who is Lawnly intended for? There's really two groups of users that Lawnly is intended for. One is homeowners that love jumping up in the air and taking that awkward wedding photo that you so often see. And the reason that they love Lawnly is a lot of times they don't have time, or possibly they're not very good with a lawnmower, or they hurt themselves. We have somebody that reached out to me the other day in an email that was a coworker of my wife's. My husband hurt himself. He doesn't trust me with the lawnmower. Can you help me? And these are the types of people that we're going after with Lawnly. It's not contract-based. We don't try to suck you into a system. You can use this once. You can use this 100 times. That's the beauty of the way that Lawnly is set up. There is another user that uses Lawnly, and it's not actually Donald Trump, but it's homeowners, or I'm sorry, it's property managers that have multiple properties that they need to kind of look after. So Lawnly has the ability for you to put multiple addresses in a single sign-on and manage that for rental properties. I myself am a property owner and I rent property, and this is great for being able to have some transparency on the properties that are rented. So what is the market size for Lawnly? It's big, really, really big. There's 120 million plus homeowners in the United States. 70% roughly are mowed by homeowners, not by professionals. And when you break down the numbers on a 6-month growing season, that's roughly 3 billion lawn mows per year. That's a lot of lawn mowing. Really think about it, that is a lot of ground. We spend a lot of time and money and effort to cut back that grass that grows every week on our lawn. And that doesn't even include additional services like leaf removal, gutter cleaning, weed treatment, any of these other types of things that Lawnly is going to look to get into at some point. What are some challenges that Lawnly faces? I really am proud of this next slide. Walter White, he is sitting on a pile of cash. Walter has a very different problem than Lawnly has. We've struggled a little bit to find investors, as I think anybody who's going through the process of starting a company. And that's probably one of our biggest challenges right now, is finding the seed money necessary to continue going with Lawnly. Our next biggest challenge, which I actually just got taken care of last week, but up until last week, my next biggest challenge is finding this kind of guy, because they're unicorns in Arkansas. Finding that technology person who's willing to join you, willing to jump out of that comfy Walmart job, paying them $100,000 a year with a 401k, it's really hard to find here. And with great programs like this, 1 Million Cups, and a lot of the stuff, I'm from Northwest Arkansas, a lot of the stuff that's going on up there, this is becoming less and less of a problem, and I'm really happy and proud to see that. So what are some successes? Really, it only boils down to one thing for me. It's hearing stories from customers who are happy with our service. Nothing gets me more upset than getting a story from a customer who has not had a good experience. Fortunately, that does not happen often for Lawnly, but nothing makes me smile more than getting these types of responses on social media. I haven't asked anybody for any type of feedback. This is all organic feedback from homeowners who have come to our Facebook page, come to our Twitter account, and let us know how happy they are with the service that we provide. And I'm not somebody who likes to speak for 6 minutes about my company. I went real quick, real high level. I wanted to leave a lot of time for a dialogue and a conversation to answer any questions that you may have about Lawnly, and kind of just, I'm interested to hear what you think.
Give it up for Andrew. All right, so now we get into the fun part. We're going to have about 20 minutes of Q&A. So who would like to start us off on maybe a first question, if anyone has one? And make sure you say your name and what you do, so that we can get a feel for who's in here.
Oh.
Good. Hey, Caleb with Ink Custom Tees. I love this so much. But the first question I have, I don't know if you've heard this comparison, but the first time I ever heard of Lawnly, it was introduced kind of by simply saying, well, it's like Uber for lawn care. You've probably heard that. Except with Uber, anybody can sign up and be a driver as long as they get certified. So in the same way, can you go into more detail about who your service providers are? Can anybody who's really good at lawn care and just loves this be like, hey, I want to be a lawn care provider? Or are you partnering with the lawn care providers in a certain area, and how are you if so, how are you presenting it to them in a way that they feel like they want to be a part of it?
Okay, that's a great question. And Lawnly, as it stands today, only allows qualified lawn care businesses that are insured and have commercial equipment onto our system. That is a result of talking to my legal counsel, Jamie Fugit. I'm sure many of you know him in town. But it opens us up to a lot of liability, allowing strangers, some 16-year-old punk kid to come mow your lawn and throw a rock through your window. It's something we aspire to. I've actually called the insurance company that does insurance for Uber and engaged with them on a conversation on what it would take for us to get a policy that would allow us to cover a contractor only while they're doing work for us on the system. That would likely be a different model, a secondary service offering, kind of just like how Uber does it. When Uber started, they partnered with black cab companies that already had insurance, they were already licensed, they were already ready to go. And as they grew, they expanded into their UberX program, which is, I was a driver for UberX. And that's something that we'd like to get into. Probably, I was thinking more of a neighborhood type thing, helping neighborhood kids get their summer jobs through Lawnly. I'm seeing somebody shake their head. It's not something that we would make as a default, but it would be an option that we may provide down the line.
I'm Don Butler, I'm a computer programmer. That was mostly my question. Okay,
thank you.
there we go. That was mostly my question, except, how are these people paid? Do they discount their service to you, this professional services, and then?
Yes, so the model. You want to know about how Lawnly makes money, how the contractors make money. Lawnly takes a 15% net commission on every job that's posted. We price our jobs a little bit higher than what it would cost for you to get service, a continuing service through a lawn care company. And that's built in for that convenience and so that it's still worth the time for the lawn care companies to take the job. And as far as how they get paid, direct deposit. So we have Stripe integration on the website. And you pay with your credit card, the contractor puts in their bank details, and then I transfer them their percentage minus swipe fees. So what's really nice about Lawnly is we've had almost 100 lawns mowed in the system so far since April 16th. And after swipe fees and our take, roughly 82% of the finances that come through Lawnly wound up going back out into the local community in the hands of local lawn care companies. So it's a really cool thing. I'm looking for getting these equity incentive tax credits and all this kind of stuff. And it's a cool story to be able to tell. They like job creation. This is job creation. Lawnly, money spent on Lawnly is money that goes right back into the economy. Yes.
Hi, my name is Tony Frazier. I own a local insurance agency in town. And what you're talking about is very interesting to me because I do a lot of lawn care companies.
Mm-hmm.
So getting in touch with you to get that business, basically you're a general contractor. Because you're holding the job, you get the job, and then you sub the job to local entities.
In the existing framework, yes.
Yes.
From a legal standpoint, no.
Well, you have to make
and
sure.
when we talk to, and this is a back and forth between me and Jamie all the time, because I've gone and looked for insurance for myself, and everybody wants to label me a general contractor. Well, you wouldn't label Uber a general contractor, right? They're a technology platform that facilitates jobs.
Right, you're not actually doing the work.
Correct.
You're subbing the work out, but you're in control of the job because you are finding the job and assigning the job.
We don't assign it. It's a first come, first served basis.
Well, right, but you're in control. You get the lead and you pass it down. And so you've got to figure out a way to remove that general contractor because in the event of a claim, you're up here on top,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to be looked to.
And it's a calculated risk, as is any business that goes into the Uber of insert business model. They are all subject to this potential risk. And I'm sure that you're aware of the cases that are happening in California right now that are being brought to the state of California that I'm sure are going to become national cases about whether or not an Uber driver is an employee or whether or not an Uber driver is a contract hire. And that's just something that we're just going to have to bear.
Well, as long as the contractors that you do business with name you as additional insured, hold you harmless, waiver of subrogation,
We
all
might get to
those
that point at
language?
some point. That's a big barrier for us
Yeah.
to ask those contractors to do that up front.
It's pretty common. So,
I'd be open to talking to you about some methods on scaling that type of solution.
Hi, my name's Catherine Gadberry. I work at Heifer International, but I'm also an Uber driver.
Okay.
I kind of had the question relating those. Like in Uber, you have a star rating system. Anyone can sign up if you're insured and licensed and all of this, but you have to maintain a certain quality standard. And I wondered if you had any type of rating system where your service providers were rated on their quality.
Yeah, so we don't yet. That is on the next version of Lonley's build. So Lonley is still very much in our MVP stage. The solution that you see today was built and implemented, we launched it April 16th. I am not a developer. I didn't build the solution that you see. A friend did in the evening for equity. And once I'm able to get more than 40 hours a month out of him in time, we'll be implementing all of these much needed features that will improve the user experience. We do have a policy right now, though. It's a 2-strike policy. So if a contractor doesn't do what they need to do, they're gone. There's a lot more guys out there that want to do the work that'll do a good job than there's the demand for that is out there. So, but thank you for that question.
Next question, anyone?
Name is Hector Felix, work for Under Grace Ministries. Andrew, I love your idea, man. This is really cool. I think you should start up trying to search what is scalable and what works and what not. So speaking of scalable, it says only in Northwest Arkansas, Little Rock, nationwide. And how do you plan to work in the winter? Are you going to concentrate California, Florida?
Yeah, all great questions, all great questions. Right now, Lonley service is only available in Northwest Arkansas. However, I just started my first Facebook ads for this market. And the way that we plan to scale is it's a 2-sided market. So I have to make sure that I have the density of service providers to ensure that if you post a job, it's going to get taken. And the way that we plan to do that is by unlocking zip codes. So basically, Little Rock is split up into maybe 9 zip codes. And when contractors sign up, we ask the territories they typically work in. And once we reach a certain density of contractors, we can unlock that zip code for homeowners. So you can go to lonley.com right now and sign up. And part of the sign up is we capture that zip code. We tell you if it's not available in your area, but guess what? You'll be notified as soon as it is. So the way that we're going to scale is by controlling that growth through a zip code radius. And then what was your other question?
Are you going to California?
California, yes. Winter revenue, yes. Okay. So that's a challenge, not just for us, but for our competitors that work in the same industry as well, and any lawn care business. So there's a lot of areas we can get into, a lot of things that we can get into. Again, assuming we hire the developer, get him on so we can make these changes. Leaf removal is a really big service in the fall. Snow plowing is a potential service. Since we have the satellite mapping tool, one of the unique things about Lonley's implementation versus our competition is a really powerful satellite mapping tool that's accurate down to plus or minus 100 square feet. So we can price anything we can price from a bird's eye view on the ground is a potential service offering for Lonley. Gutter cleaning, weed treatment services, those are year round. I've actually partnered with a national weed treatment franchise, and we're going to be starting a pilot with them next month. That they lay down fertilization and weed treatments offerings all the way through December. So it is definitely a challenge that we realize is going to be out there, but the key is being creative and finding new potential ways of making money in the winter. There will always be a seasonality to Lonley, though. It's just the nature of the business.
Jordan, I have a quick question about something he actually asked about the unlocking of the zip codes. What's your model for cost-benefit analysis on deploying into one of those? Like, what are the metrics you measure saying, like, this is how many we need to justify breaking even or whatever the thing is? Yeah,
Still figuring it out. To be blunt and to be honest, we're still figuring it out. This pilot, this launch was really for me to determine, is there demand for the service? And boy, I think I've proven that there's demand for the service. The next step is figuring out scaling, is figuring out what is our density that we need to make sure that we capture that. How do we effectively and scalably find contractors and bring them onto the system? How do we effectively and scalably bring homeowners onto the system? So to answer your question, I don't have specific metrics on that yet because I'm still figuring that out. But I realize those are extremely important metrics.
Hey, Andrew, Mike. By the way, I still like your first startup idea.
Yeah, it's in the back. It's in the back pocket.
Yeah, keep it there. Keep it there. So you've referenced competition a little bit.
Yes.
And in the Uber model, there's going to be Uber competition.
Yes.
Sorry about that. But
we like puns here.
Yeah. There you go. So how, can you talk a bit about who competition is, and then what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. So competition right now is, as you said, out there. There's a lot of companies out there attempting an Uber of lawn care type concept. All of them are very regional, just like us. The most well-funded that I've been able to find just announced a $6 million Series A. Their name is Lawn Starter. A little shout out to them, I guess. But they went through TechStars Austin. And the key in this industry is going to be how effectively can you scale? How cost effectively can you get into a new market, and can you do it quicker and better than anyone else? The short answer is that. And the ones that figure out how to do that, who can get that customer acquisition model down, are the ones that are going to be successful. Nobody's a dominant player yet. There's no Uber of this concept, but there will be. It's a big market. There's room for 2 or 3 big players, but what you're gonna see is you see in every industry. Lots of people go after a market. You're gonna see a few rise to the top, and then you're gonna see consolidation as the rest of those big companies acquire those smaller ones to move into new markets. We'll be happy with either of those scenarios.
We have time for a few more questions if anyone has them.
Sorry, I'm asking 2. I just had another one.
You're perfectly fine.
Caleb again. So a lot of, from what I've noticed, many lawn care providers, a logical sister company, if you want to say that, is pest control. And you mentioned weed treatment and other things. Have you thought about, maybe even in the winter months, that could be a solution as well as getting into stuff other than just outside the house, but inside the house, such as spraying? For example, Fairway Lawns has Command Pest Control as a sister company. Is there anything that could be done there?
Our focus now is purely on the lawn. We don't want to confuse our branding message to start to get too broad, right? So Lawnly, the reason I chose the name Lawnly is it was specific enough yet broad enough to be indicative of something to do with your lawn. So that's really where we want to start. It doesn't mean that we can't create the same technology on a different domain with a different brand aimed at different service industries. If we were going to get into something that was fundamentally different than Lawnly, we found some niche that was, corollary to the services that we have now, but it was different enough to warrant a different branding strategy. We've got the technology built. All we have to do is just rebrand it.
Are any of your competitors doing it yet?
Indoor, not that I'm aware of. The reason being is that's a totally different risk profile. Having somebody walk into your home changes your liability significantly. Another thing that I didn't mention that we do is we've partnered with another, shout out to a startup in Fayetteville called Exacto, that does 1099 verification. So we run our contractors against sexual predator databases, driving record, foreign entities list. We check against 15 different databases on these people, which would be a good step in the right direction for allowing someone into your home. But your liability profile changes greatly when you're letting someone into your home.
One more. Anyone have a question?
I'm Chris with Applied Land Restoration. So if I were a customer of Lawnly and wanted to have my lawn cut, what's the average time frame it would take from putting in a job and then actually having the work completed?
Okay, so we discourage same-day posting. We'll allow you to do it, but we have a nice little disclaimer that says we don't guarantee it'll get done on that day, a vast majority of our jobs are posted and completed within 48 hours. And that's the turnaround time I tell people that I'm confident that we can get done. And that's again, the key there is having the density of the service providers to be able to make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you all for your questions. Those were great. So what we do here at 1 Million Cups, before we let you go,
okay,
we always make it a point to ask you, as the entrepreneur, what is the one thing we can leave with today to help you? So what's like one action item it's just easy enough for us all to do today?
If you know any lawn care companies in Little Rock that want to make an average of $40 per job, tell them sign up for Lawnly. Go to lawnly.com/contractor.
Awesome.
That's probably the one thing. If you want to be able to use Lawnly, we need those people.
Awesome. We'll give it up for Andrew one more time.
Thanks, man.
As he mentioned, he made his way all the way down from Fayetteville. He got here at like
3:30.
At like 7:30 this morning. He texted me and was like, "Yo, how do I get in the building?" I was like, "Yo, we don't get up that early." But no, it means a lot that he came down to share what he's working on in our community. So thank you, Andrew, for coming down and sharing what you're working on. All right, so looking forward to next week, we have Wiser, which is a Atlanta-based startup. Actually, they have kind of a hodgepodge of team members across the country, but they're all from Arkansas, and they just got into a major accelerator in Cincinnati. And when they visited 1 Million Cups a few weeks ago, they were really surprised at some of the stuff that's going on in this region. And so we're going to welcome them next week, and hopefully we can lure them into maybe moving to Little Rock. So all of you guys come back and help us encourage Wiser next week. They also have a really cool company that you can learn about too. Also, I've had a few comments from people asking about how to find out about the presenters. We have a new website that we're still tweaking and figuring out how we pipeline in the presenters and get them to get their logo and everything up on the website. So we apologize for that, but you can always tweet at us. You can always email one of us, and we'll let you know what the schedule looks like. And we can add you to our mailing list as well if you want to do that. So thank you all for coming out. We will see you guys next week, and we should have plenty of coffee. So feel free to hang out for the rest of the morning. Like I mentioned earlier, all of the open co-working, that's like the common area. If y'all want to plop down and get some work done today, feel free and take advantage of this awesome space while you can. Thank y'all for coming out, and I'll see y'all next week.